So welcome to the 2019 edition of the Dubai event VriThink Night Out. To have the great minds switched in the on mode.
You really just need a spirit of adventure.
They just keep doing the same thing, but they do it so well that we love it. We want to be a part of it, we want to have it because we know we can trust it.
The passion for discovery, the passion for explorer.
The speakers that you're going to hear tonight all have that great spirit of adventure.
Presentation is about design thinking. Well, today we see a small shift, maybe because of the undercurrent, going from the mass to more individual. People want to be engaged more. So what we see here, when the economy is driven by volumes and production, the idea was to ramp up the volumes while keeping the cost as low as possible, like using the same product in a different package, etc. And what we feel is that our clients, especially, want to be somewhere more in the middle or be more unique. A traditional design process was driven by design spiral, like an onion. You take away the layers and you get to the final heart of it. Today we try to do that different, to approach it different, and we try to keep the end in mind. And that's also where design thinking is about, to try to picture the end in mind. Looking at a process or a product, we can say that it's something that needs to be visible, desirable, and also technically feasible, viable, I meant. So where to find the weak spot, and that's the trick today, I think, especially if you design for a unique human being. To do so, you need creative confidence, and creativity is not only about an artist. It can also be a lawyer or someone working in the bank. Being creative is about learning yourself to think different, to embrace different expertises, to challenge yourself to work with the other half of your brain, so to speak. And I'm not going too deep into this, but there are all kinds of tricks and exercises to challenge yourself or your teammates when developing a new product. Design thinking is all about this, in my perspective. We talk about the process, design thinking, roughly in five stages. We go from emphasize to observe, then we go into ideate, and a very important phase is the prototyping and testing phase. And afterwards we can go further into engineering and development. So what about emphasize? That's about a comparison of an iceberg. We listen to a client and he says, I want that boat, but 90% of what he really wants is below, like with an iceberg. So when considering this, it's very important to observe, to listen, and to really get to that really deeper layer of what your client actually wants. This is also where storytelling comes in, or associating all kinds of things, just like pinpointing on what do you like this or that, and then the conversation starts. It's very important to listen. Then we go into ideation, and we do that by putting people together. And in ideation, you can perform all kinds of exercises to get creative ideas coming to life more and more. So everybody shares, everybody listens to each other. And when all the ideas are on the table, the important phase then starts of prototyping. And there you learn a lot. And people with their own company know that when things fail, and that's also very important to realize here, when things fail, you learn. And when you stand up again, you learn. So when you have your prototype, testing is important. And like with the foam blocks, you can also test their strength, small size, or routing with all kinds of ropes. You can think of all kinds of solutions to test your prototype. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dummy like you see here on the screen. But by testing vision or shape, proportions, you get a very well sense of how your ID will start to look like. When you've tested, you know all the trouble. You continue into engineering or sorting out how to produce it. And the idea is there, when production starts, you've tackled most of the failures, preferably all of the failures. So that's then, again, where storytelling comes in, because how do you make clear that this process is so important, and what's the value of the process for the product, and what's the value of the process for the end user, your client that you had in mind from the start, and his ID. So here storytelling is a very important tool to make that value clear to the client. So what is our story there? Our story is comparable to the route that we tried to follow to what I showed in the 5 stages of design thinking. It was a bit of a moonshot because we're used to think like an engineering company. We have a solution or a boat. You start with a sample boat, for example, and from there you develop a little bit of a new layout, etc. But that's not really what it was about. And we wanted to break with that. So we tried to find a way to push ourselves out of that comfort zone. And as already shown by Marnix, we got out to the streets and we tried to find all kinds of other industries like fashion, the car industry, art industry, street artists here, to get inspired from and to put that into our team. So this is a team picture where you see everybody struggling together, and I think that's roughly how I felt it when I was on a project once, and everybody was like, I want to do it like this, I want to do it like that, this can work, but this cannot work. So we had to fight the end bug, or the butt bug, so to speak, because everybody was used to the feeling like when somebody said, we should explore this. It doesn't work. And we need to try to hook on to each other and say, okay, but this can work as well, and this can work, and this can work. So to have everything growing into the direction of that very, very, very beginning of what the client wanted. So this was about creative confidence. The creative confidence of the team is a very important thing to chase after, because that helps us to develop that product that stands closer to the end user and is closer to what he likes. So I hope it will inspire you to look into this design thinking and to develop, well, better products. Good, thank you.